Welcome back to Truth Between Lines. My name is Brian Walker. I'm with my buddy Homer over here. We are on location at his site. This is deck night on the rocks. We are outside. It is the middle of the day. You're probably going to hear just laughing about some dogs barking, some kids playing, the wind blowing, and possibly some bugs flying by our eyes. So we'll see how this goes. But basically, I brought my foremost expert of all things bourbon and all things whiskey to talk about it. And that's kind of what we're doing today. So it's a little interest of mine. And Homer, do you want to say anything about your channel? Sell it better than I do.
Well, Deck Night on the Rocks is the name of the channel, and we're all things bourbon. It's really kind of bourbon when we started it, but it's just it's anything whiskey and spirits related. It's more whiskey, bourbon, rye, American whiskey. We don't really do Scotch or Irish whiskey because I don't like it. So
do what you like, right? Yeah.
Well, that's what the bourbon world is. Drink what you like and how you like it. So we like whiskey, and we pretty much stick to anything that's American made. And it kind of fits with what Brian's into. So it's American-made stuff. I'm not against Scotch or Irish whiskey or any other foreign country's whiskey. It's just not what we do. We'll try it.
Yeah,
we may like it.
Yeah, we were having a conversation too about East Paradise over here in Tennessee and why whiskey is so popular here, and of course Kentucky bourbon and all those other things. So, tell me the story a little bit about why Tennessee is such a good maker of whiskey.
Well, I guess it's just the region, because it's not so much Tennessee. It's the area, and I don't even know if it's East Tennessee, to be honest with you. I know Memphis has a big thing about their water quality based on the natural limestone filtration that's in this region, and that's why originally the bourbon whiskey world kind of popped up in Kentucky. Was the water of the Kentucky River, which kind of runs that way, I guess, and it just became. That's how I'm assuming from all the stories I've heard that's where it came from. Was the limestone filtration of the natural system.
And not too long ago, you did a podcast as well and a video about whiskey possibly in decline, about how some of the factories are laying people off. They're not producing as much barrels. And we're not going to go into all the details about that, but why. Please watch that on Deck Night on the Rocks.
Deck Night on the Rocks.
I know, but look at that a little deeper and see the background of it. But what I wanted to jump into it more, obviously looking between the lines about why is that. And me being the outside casual observer, I'm seeing a lot more of other people coming in and offering different kinds of spirits. You got your vodkas, you got your tequilas. Seems like every celebrity has a new thing coming out. And I remember as a younger kid, the Rat Pack. Now I'm a little bit too young to understand what the Rat Pack was, but I knew it was cool. And one thing I did notice was there was an old picture of Frank Sinatra stepping off of a helicopter, holding his hat, and he had a glass of brown liquid in his hand. Let's just put it that way.
It was most definitely Jack Daniels.
Most definitely it was. Okay, so, and the cool thing about it was you're looking at this iconic picture, and somebody made a meme out of it, 10, 15, 20 years ago, whenever memes started, and it said, you might think you're cool, but you're not Frank Sinatra stepping off of a helicopter holding bourbon cool. And I thought, wow, I'm a young, impressionable kid. Let's go. So that's why I've always been interested in all things whiskey and brown. So now you're seeing a bunch of celebrities coming out again with their vodkas and tequilas, and I'm looking at print ads. I don't know, Sinatra wasn't endorsing one particular product at that moment, but you're seeing a lot of people that say, buy my stuff. So when you go to the store, you're like, oh yeah, my favorite celebrity, I'm impressionable, I'm going to go buy their thing. And that's what I'm wondering. So get more into, and also to commercial moonshines too, but where are you seeing with that industry for whiskey? Are there celebrities right now putting on their own whiskeys?
There's all kinds of them, and they all suck for the most part.
Maybe that's why.
Well, I say that in jest. In our world, the bourbon whiskey world, it is most of the time that if they're my general rule of thumb is if there's a celebrity's name on it, it sucks. They filter it through the Texas process, the mesquite charcoal, so it has a little different flavor. So it's made in Kentucky at Wild Turkey, and they just process it a different way. So anyway, we're gonna have this little pour of this one while we're sitting here. But this one has, and the reason I have this one is because this one they did in partnership with Matthew McConaughey. Now,
A Texas boy too, right? I mean, that's why he went to Texas. Okay.
So now he's no longer involved. And it's not like they had a split and a problem. Their contract ended and they left. So Wild Turkey still makes Long Branch, but they just took Matthew McConaughey's name off of it. So it's still around. And the reason I have this one is because it doesn't suck. Now, compared to a lot of the other Wild Turkey stuff, it's not the best. There's a lot of better other wild turkey. And I know a lot of people think Wild Turkey 101, that's swill. Well, it's not. And there's a lot of other stuff they make that it's not just Wild Turkey 101. But I have this one because I don't hate it. Now, those other ones, Terry Bradshaw has one, not good. Beyonce has one, that's a joke.
Yeah.
It's absolutely pathetic, but it'll probably win 25 different awards.
In all different categories they don't belong in.
And
Sure.
then Eric Church, the country singer, has one.
I see that. Chris Stapleton?
Chris Stapleton.
I'm thinking he has one
and
too.
Chris Stapleton has one, but it's not his per se. It's a partnership with Buffalo Trace, kind of the same as this one, and it is absolute trash. It is the worst thing I've ever drank. It is disgusting.
Well, okay.
And it's more of a blend. It's a blended whiskey. It's not a bourbon, and it's actually 80% Canadian whiskey.
Really?
It's horrible.
They print that big on the big letters on the bottle, I'm sure.
No,
They
they
have
did.
that. Well, you bring up Canada too, as far as I'm wondering now in today's day and age with tariffs being the big keyword, buzzword now, are we going to see a resurgence of Tennessee and American spirits in general with tariffs coming in from Europe and from Canada?
I'm going to go ahead and be honest with you. The tariffs are not going to affect us at all in the bourbon world because people who drink bourbon don't drink Canadian whiskey. Because Canadian whiskey sucks. It's super light. It's like 80 proof typically, like Crown and Canadian Club and Seagram's. It's not good. It's good for a mixer and people that don't drink all the time, it's fine. But people who are, when I say all the time, you're going to think alcoholic, but there's a lot of people who are enthusiasts that drink stuff and don't ever get drunk. They just enjoy the flavors and the taste, and they actually, it's like a Playboy. People say you're going to look, I'm reading the article. That's what bourbon is. I'm not doing it to get drunk. I'm doing it because I enjoy what flavors you get out of the bottle. And that's a big deal. And the Canadian stuff just isn't that great. And when I say the tariffs aren't going to affect us, it's because it's not a big market. I mean, a lot of non-people will buy it because it's typically cheaper and it's good to mix with. But I don't think it's a big deal. Now it's the other way around. Now, I don't think, you see in the news now, they got all those drapes and hanging up that, and they're taking them off the shelf to kind of protest. But it's not going to hurt these companies because it's not a big market for them. They sell everything here. Hell, Japan buys more bourbon than these companies can make. They'll buy every drop made. Japan loves American whiskey.
Interesting. All right. So again, go back to Deck Night and the Rocks and watch their video. But Homer, what do you think of a way to save the industry per se? And I say save, I'm just talking, it's not going anywhere, but to improve the industry. One thing I thought was maybe lower the price of the quality stuff, attract the newer buyers, the one that are just obviously of legal age of 21, to attract them to whiskey. And then of course you can always raise the price later on. But what do you think is another way to help save the industry?
Well, it's a lot of different things that are the problem right now that's causing it. And I think it's kind of out of their control because the new 21-year-olds, the youngest generation that can legally drink alcohol, they're not. They don't drink alcohol. They either do illegal, illicit drugs or the CBDs, the Delta 8s and 9s, all that legal stuff, all that marijuana derivatives. That's what they do now. The liquor market in every spirit, not just whiskey, is, I think, taking a 50% or more cut in their sales based on people are dying and young people aren't taking their place. And I don't know what the bourbon or the whiskey community can do about it. Now, another thing that I was talking about in our video is there's been a huge boom in bourbon whiskey world, and I think it's starting to die. And a lot of companies have been increasing their output, so the demand has always outweighed the supply. That's starting to turn, and anybody in the free market economy understands that supply and demand dictates everything. So there's way more supply now than the demand can cover. What a lot of people won't. Now, people in the whiskey and bourbon world will argue with me, or people that are mildly in it, because there's a lot of high quality, high end bourbons that are really hard to get. They haven't picked up that demand.
All right. And again, Homer, I'd like to thank you for coming out. I appreciate it.
Thanks for talking to me.
Yep. And here we go. A little more investigation.
Keep sipping.
Plug your channel one more time.
Deck Night on the Rocks on YouTube. You can check us out on Instagram, Deck Night on the Rocks, TikTok, Deck Night on the Rocks, Facebook, Deck Night on the Rocks, all that stuff. And go there, check us out. We've got a bunch of videos. We've been doing it for a few years. And like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the bell for both of us.
There you go. All right, this is Truth Between Lines. Thanks for watching.